The summer of 2002 in Austin was the kind that clung to your skin like a bad memory, humid, relentless, the air thick with cicadas and the faint rot of the Colorado River. Vera Morales had just turned 21, a junior at the University of Texas majoring in literature, her days a blur of dog-eared paperbacks and late-night diner shifts slinging coffee to hungover frat boys. She was all sharp edges and quiet fire, 5'6" with a mop of unruly auburn curls that she wrestled into a ponytail, hazel eyes that could pin you with a glance, and a laugh that bubbled up like spring water, rare but worth the wait. Growing up in a sprawling ranch house on the outskirts of town, Vera had always been the good one, the one who helped her abuela in the kitchen, kneading masa for tamales while stories of old Mexico spilled out like secrets. Her father, a stoic mechanic with grease-stained hands and a mustache that hid his smiles, had passed when she was 12, leaving her mother, Elena, to hold the family together with iron will and Catholic guilt. Elena Morales was a force, 52, and unyielding, her dark hair streaked with the first silvers of defeat, her brown eyes sharp as agave thorns. She'd fled a small village near Guadalajara as a teen, crossing the border with nothing but a rosary and dreams of stability, building a life brick by adobe brick in this sun-baked corner of America. Church on Sundays, family dinners every night, and no room for anything that didn't fit the script. Vera adored her, even feared her a little, the way Elena's prayers could summon storms or soothe fevers. But lately, Vera felt like a bird battering against a windowpane, desperate for sky. That's when Victoria Hale crashed into her life like a rogue wave. Victoria was 22, a transfer from NYU on a journalism scholarship, all long limbs and effortless cool, 6 feet tall with porcelain skin dusted by faint freckles across her nose, platinum blonde hair cropped short in a pixie cut that framed her angular face, and blue eyes like fractured ice, piercing, unpredictable. She wore thrift store leather jackets over band tees from The Cure and Susie, her voice a low drawl laced with East Coast sarcasm. They met in an intro to American Lit seminar, dissecting Whitman under fluorescent lights. Vera raised her hand first, quoting "Song of Myself" with a passion that made the room lean in. Victoria caught her eye after class, smirking as she lit a cigarette outside the lecture hall. "You make old dead white guys sound like they're whispering dirty secrets. What's your deal, Morales?" Vera's cheeks burned, but she didn't look away. "Just trying to make sense of the mess." "You?" Victoria exhaled smoke like a dragon. "Same. But I think the mess is half the fun." From there, it was inevitable, a spark in a powder keg. Study sessions turned into all-nighters at Greasy Spoons, debating Kerouac over huevos rancheros. Victoria dragged Vera to underground shows in abandoned warehouses, where the bass thrummed through their bones and bodies pressed close in the dark. Vera, who'd only ever kissed boys at awkward high school dances, felt something uncoil inside her, a hunger she'd named but never fed. One rain-slicked night, after a show where the lead singer screamed about broken hearts, they stumbled into Victoria's cramped off-campus apartment. The kiss happened on the threadbare couch, tentative at first, Vera's lips brushing Victoria's like testing holy water, then fierce, hands tangling in hair, breaths mingling with the scent of rain and patchouli. It wasn't about bodies, it was revelation, two souls recognizing their mirror in the chaos. "I think I'm falling," Vera whispered later, her head on Victoria's chest, listening to the steady thump beneath her ear. Victoria traced lazy circles on Vera's back. "Good. 'Cause I've been gone since that Whitman line." They kept it quiet at first, stolen moments between classes and shifts. Walks along Lady Bird Lake at twilight, fingers brushing until they dared to lace together. Picnics in Zilker Park with stolen grapes and dreams of post-grad life, Victoria chasing stories in New York, Vera teaching English in some dusty border town. But secrets in a town like Austin have a way of unraveling, especially when love makes you careless. Vera started smiling more, humming under her breath while folding laundry at home. Elena noticed, her eyes narrowing over Sunday Mass. "Who's got you glowing like that, Mija?" Elena asked one evening, stirring pozole in the kitchen, the steam curling like ghosts. Vera hesitated, chopping onions to hide her flush. "Just a friend. From school." Elena's spoon paused. A boy. Vera's knife slipped, nicking her thumb. Yeah. A boy. The lie sat heavy, but it bought time. Weeks blurred into a fevered dream of love. Victoria's apartment became their sanctuary, walls papered with Polaroids of tangled limbs and lazy grins. Vera learned the curve of Victoria's hip, the way her laugh cracked on the high notes, how she bit her lip when deep in thought. Victoria taught Vera to question everything: faith, family, the American dream that promised so much and delivered scraps. "We're not broken, Ver," she'd say, pulling her close. "We're just different blueprints." But blueprints crack under pressure. It started small, a missed family dinner, Vera's phone buzzing under the table at church. Then Elena found the photo, slipped from Vera's wallet during a laundry sort, a blurry shot of two girls mid-laugh, arms slung around each other, Victoria's head on Vera's shoulder. Elena confronted her that night, the house silent except for the hum of the fridge. "Is this what you're hiding? This sin?" Elena's voice trembled, the photo trembling in her fist. Vera stood in the kitchen doorway, heart pounding like a war drum. "Mama, it's not. Don't lie to me." Elena hurled the photo at her feet. "A girl? Dios mío, after everything I've sacrificed. For you to throw it away on this abomination." Vera's world tilted. "I love her. It's real, Mama. Please." "Love?" Elena spat the word like venom. "This isn't love. It's confusion, the devil's whisper. You're coming with me to Father Ruiz tomorrow. We'll pray it out of you." The argument escalated into a storm, Elena's rosary beads clattering to the floor, Vera's voice breaking on pleas for understanding. But Elena was a fortress, built on generations of silence and shame. By dawn, with her uncle's truck idling in the driveway, Elena delivered the ultimatum: leave Victoria, or leave this house. Vera chose love, packing a duffel in the pre-dawn gray, tears carving rivers down her cheeks. Victoria was waiting in her car, engine rumbling. What happened? Vera slid in, slamming the door on her old life. "I'm all in. With you." They drove into the sunrise, Austin's skyline shrinking in the rearview. For a while, it was freedom, crashing on friends' couches, scraping by on tips and temp jobs. Victoria's articles started landing in local rags, her byline a beacon. Vera enrolled in night classes, her dreams shifting like sand. But the betrayal lingered, a shadow at their heels. Elena's calls went unanswered, letters returned unopened. "She'll come around," Victoria said, but doubt crept in like humidity. The first crack came 6 months later, at a holiday party thrown by Victoria's journalism professor. Booze flowed, egos swelled, and Victoria got too deep into the scotch, her laughter turning sharp. When a colleague, a smug editor from Dallas, made a crack about those border town romances, Victoria fired back, slurring, "At least they're honest. Unlike you fossils pretending life's a straight line." The room hushed. Vera pulled her aside, but Victoria shrugged her off. "What? It's true. Your mom's the one who's blind." "It's not that simple," Vera hissed, hurt blooming fresh. Victoria's eyes flashed. "It is. She's poison, Ver. Let her go." But Vera couldn't. Not fully. The fights multiplied, small at first, over money, space, the ache of isolation. Victoria's ambition pulled her toward bigger cities, glittering opportunities. Vera's roots tugged her back, whispering of forgiveness, of family mended. One night, after a screaming match that shook the thin apartment walls, Victoria packed a bag. "I can't keep pretending this is enough. You want normal? Go get it. Marry some guy, pop out kids. But don't drag me down with your what-ifs." The door clicked shut, and Vera crumpled, the silence deafening. Betrayal tasted like bile, Victoria, her anchor, cutting the rope. She didn't chase. Instead, she drove home, the ranch house a ghost in the moonlight. Elena opened the door, face etched with weary triumph. "You've come to your senses." Vera nodded, hollow. "I have." The reconciliation was tentative, laced with unspoken accusations. Elena burned the Polaroids, enrolled Vera in therapy with a reparative counselor who spouted scripture and shame. Vera graduated, took a job teaching at a local high school, dated a nice accountant named Mark. He was steady, kind, everything Victoria wasn't. They married in a quiet ceremony at the church, Elena beaming in the front pew. Vera told herself it was enough. 2 years later, their son arrived, little Matteo, with Mark's dark curls and Vera's hazel eyes, a squalling bundle of joy that patched the cracks. Life settled into rhythm, school runs, PTA meetings, Elena's tamales on Sundays. But in quiet moments, staring at the ceiling while Mark snored beside her, Vera felt the old ache, a phantom limb throbbing. Love didn't die, it buried itself, waiting for rain. By 2015, Austin had changed. Tech bros in Teslas zipping past Icarus, the skyline pierced by condos that blocked the stars. Vera was 34 now, a high school English teacher with laugh lines etching her eyes and a body softened by motherhood, her auburn curls streaked with the first grays she refused to dye. The house she shared with Mark was a cozy bungalow in Hyde Park, walls lined with Matteo's crayon masterpieces and framed photos of family barbecues. On the surface, it was the American dream, mortgage payments on time, soccer practices attended, Elena just a 10-minute drive away, doting on her grandson with stories in Spanglish. But dreams have fault lines. Mark's job in sales meant long hours, longer silences. Their intimacy had faded to routine, a checklist item crossed off before sleep. Vera poured herself into Matteo, now 8 and all boundless energy, building forts in the living room, devouring Harry Potter like candy. He had her fire, questioning everything. Why do we pray before dinner if God's everywhere? Vera would smile, ruffle his hair. Some questions don't have easy answers, Mijo. Elena had softened too, or so it seemed. The woman who'd once wielded faith like a whip now baked empanadas for Matteo's class, her hands gnarled but gentle. But the past hovered, a specter at their feasts. "You're blessed, Vera," she'd say, eyes flicking away. "A good husband, a beautiful boy. Don't squander it chasing shadows." Vera nodded, swallowing the retort. Therapy had taught her to compartmentalize, the phase, with Victoria filed under youthful mistakes. But shadows have long memories. One crisp October afternoon, grading essays in the school library, Vera's phone buzzed with an unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something, fate, masochism, made her answer. "Vera. It's Vic." The voice was smoke and silk, unchanged after 13 years. Vera's pen clattered to the desk, heart slamming like a teenager's. "How?" "Google. You're famous in Austin ed circles." A pause, laced with that old drawl. "I'm in town for a conference." "Coffee?" "Neutral ground." She should have said no. But curiosity, that old traitor, won. They met at Joe's on South Congress, the patio buzzing with hipsters and the scent of sizzling migas. Victoria looked extraordinary. 40 now, but time had honed her, the pixie cut grown into a sleek bob, silver threads glinting like stars, her blue eyes sharper, framed by faint crow's feet that spoke of stories chased across continents. She wore a tailored blazer over jeans, a silver cuff on her wrist catching the sun. Freelance war correspondent, she'd become, pieces in the Atlantic, scars from embeds in Syria and Ukraine hidden under poise. "You look good, Morales," Victoria said, sliding into the chair, her smile crooked. "Life suits you." Vera stirred her latte, avoiding those eyes. "You too. Heard you're a big deal." "Big fish in a polluted pond." Victoria leaned in, voice dropping. "I saw the wedding announcement. Mark seems solid." "He is." The words tasted like ash. They danced around the edges, careers, Austin's boom, Mateo's latest obsession with dinosaurs. But the air crackled, charged with unsaid. Finally, Victoria set down her cup. I was an asshole back then. Running scared. You deserved better. Vera's throat tightened. We both did. The coffee stretched into hours, then dinner at a quiet Mexican spot on the east side, where the mole was rich and the margaritas loosened tongues. Victoria spoke of nights under foreign skies, lovers who came and went like storms. Vera confessed the hollowness, the way teaching saved her but couldn't fill the void. By dessert, their hands brushed across the table, electric, forbidden. This doesn't have to mean anything, Victoria murmured, but her eyes said otherwise. It meant everything. What followed was a secret season, stolen afternoons while Mark golfed and Elena minded Mateo. Victoria's hotel room became their confessional, not frantic passion, but slow unraveling, conversations that stretched till dawn, bodies curling together in quiet comfort, tracing maps of regrets on skin. Vera felt alive again, colors brighter, words flowing freer in her lesson plans. You're my what if, she whispered one night, head on Victoria's shoulder. Victoria kissed her temple. No more ifs. Just now. But now has a shelf life. Elena sensed the shift first, the glow Vera couldn't hide, the late, grating sessions. One evening, as Vera dropped Mateo off after soccer, Elena pulled her aside on the porch, the air heavy with jasmine. What's happening, Mija? You're drifting again. Vera's pulse raced. Nothing, Mama. Work stress. Elena's eyes bored in, unyielding. I know that look. Don't make the same mistake twice. The warning ignited old fears. Vera pulled back, canceling plans with Victoria, burying herself in parent-teacher conferences. Guilt gnawed, Mark's trusting snores, Mateo's innocent hugs. Victoria pushed, her texts sharpening, hiding again. Thought we'd grown up. The breaking point came mid-November, rain lashing Austin like judgment. Mateo had a fever, spiking high enough for a midnight ER run. Mark was in Dallas on business. Vera called Elena in a panic. Her mother arrived like a whirlwind, bundling the boy into her truck, Vera trailing behind. In the sterile hospital glow, as doctors poked and prodded, Elena's hand found Vera's, cold, but there. He's strong, like you, she murmured. Vera broke then, sobs racking her in the waiting room. I messed up, Mama. Again. Elena's face crumpled. Tell me. The confession spilled, Victoria, the affair, the love that refused to die. Elena listened, rosary beads twisting in her lap, her silence a chasm. When Vera finished, gasping, Elena stood. I won't lose you twice. But this. This ends now. Vera nodded, numb. She texted Victoria at dawn, it's over. For good. Victoria's reply was a single emoji, a broken heart, then silence. The fallout was swift. Mark found out weeks later, a careless email from Victoria's work account pinging Vera's phone during family game night. His face went gray, betrayal etching lines overnight. How long? He asked, voice hollow in their kitchen. Does it matter? Vera whispered. I'm sorry. Divorce papers followed, amicable but agonizing. Mark kept the house, primary custody split 60-40 his way. Vera rented a one-bedroom near school, weekends with Mateo a lifeline. Elena withdrew, her Sunday dinners cancelled, the phone going to voicemail. Isolation closed in, Vera's classroom a refuge where she poured pain into poetry units, watching teens grapple with their own hidden worlds. Spring brought tentative thaw. Mateo, sensing the fracture, started drawing pictures, stick-figure families with extra hands holding. Why can't we all live together? He'd ask, big eyes pleading. Vera hugged him tight. Sometimes love means letting go, so everyone can breathe. But breathing hurt. One humid June evening, scrolling Facebook in her empty apartment, Vera froze at a notification. Victoria Hale, profile pic from a TED Talk in Berlin, liked her latest post, a quote from Auden about "We must love one another or die." Below it, a message, "Still true. Miss your voice." Vera's finger hovered. Delete. Block. Or reply. The cursor blinked like a heartbeat. Summer 2025 hit Austin like a fever dream, heat waves shimmering off asphalt, the city pulsing with Juneteenth festivals and the faint promise of fall. Vera was 44, her curls now fully threaded with silver, which she wore like a crown, unapologetic, earned. Teaching had become her anchor, her senior English class a safe harbor for out kids navigating their truths. Mateo, 13 and shooting up like a weed, split time between homes with a maturity that humbled her, video calls with Mark, sleepovers at Elena's when Vera traveled for workshops. The divorce had scarred but not shattered. Mark had remarried a sweet graphic designer, their blended family a patchwork of civility. Vera dated sporadically, coffee with a fellow teacher, a weekend in Marfa with a poet who quoted Rilke too much. But no one stuck, her heart a locked garden where Victoria's ghost still wandered. They'd exchanged sporadic emails over the years, professional check-ins, birthday cards with inside jokes. Victoria's career soared, a memoir on the road, Exiles and Echoes, shortlisted for a Pulitzer, TED Talks on queer resilience in conflict zones. Last Vera heard, she was based in D.C., single, advocating for refugee journalists. Elena, at 75, had mellowed into a quiet wisdom, her body betraying her with arthritis and a hip that ached in the rain. She'd resumed Sunday dinners, tentative at first, then ritual, tamales steaming, Mateo chattering about Fortnite. But the air between her and Vera hummed with the unspoken, that mistake, a fault line neither dared cross. "You're happy now?" Elena asked once, over flan, her eyes searching. Vera smiled faintly. "Getting there, Mama." The turning point came unbidden, in the form of a faded envelope slipped under Vera's apartment door. No stamp, just Elena's looping script, for Mateo. Read when ready. Inside, a yellowed photo, the one Elena had burned all those years ago, salvaged from some hidden drawer. Vera and Victoria, young and radiant, arms entwined under Austin oaks. A note in Elena's hand, "Forgive what you can. Love what remains." Vera's chest ached. She drove to Elena's that night, the ranch house sagging but steadfast, porch light a beacon. Her mother sat in the swing, rocking slowly, a shawl against the evening chill. "I kept it," Elena said without preamble. "Couldn't let go, even when I tried." "Why now?" Vera sank beside her, the wood creaking. Elena's hand, veined and fragile, covered hers. "Mateo. He asks about you, the girl in the stories you don't tell. And I'm tired, Mija. Tired of carrying shame like a stone." Tears came then, mutual and unashamed. Elena spoke haltingly, of her own youth in Mexico, a forbidden crush on a village seamstress, crushed under family expectations, the border crossing that hardened her heart, the fear that Vera's love would doom her to the same exile. "I thought I was saving you. But I broke us instead." Vera leaned her head on Elena's shoulder, the scent of lavender and liniment grounding her. "You did. But we can rebuild. If you let her in, let me in." Elena's nod was a prayer answered. 2 weeks later, Victoria arrived, summoned by a group email that trembled in Vera's fingers to send. The airport reunion was airport banal, hugs stiff with jet lag, Mateo's eyes wide at this tall stranger with stories of far-off lands. "You're the one from Mom's old poems," he blurted, and Victoria laughed, ruffling his hair. "Guilty. But poets exaggerate." They gathered at the ranch house for Elena's famous barbacoa, the table groaning under platters, the air thick with spices and nerves. Mateo bridged gaps with relentless curiosity, peppering Victoria with questions about bombs and bravery. "Did you ever get scared?" "Every day," Victoria admitted, blue eyes softening. "But love?" That's the real courage. Elena's gaze met Vera's across the table, a flicker of apology, of acceptance. After dinner, as dusk painted the sky violet, Matteo wandered out back, kicking a soccer ball against the fence. The women followed, settling on the porch steps, the conversation a slow thaw. I read your book, Elena said abruptly, voice gruff. The one about echoes. Made me think of my own. Victoria's surprise melted into warmth. Echoes find their way home, eventually. The moment crested when Matteo, sweaty and grinning, bounded over. Abuela, tell me about when Mom was little, like, did she always love books? Elena's laugh was rusty but real. From the cradle. But she loved fiercely too. Too much for her own good, sometimes. Matteo tilted his head, then, impulsively, instinctively, wrapped his arms around Elena in a bear hug, his lanky frame enveloping her. Well, I'm glad you both figured it out. Families for hugging, not fighting. Elena froze, then melted, her arms circling him tight, tears tracing silent paths down her cheeks. Vera watched, heart swelling. Victoria's hand found hers in the shadows, fingers lacing like old habit. In that backyard, under the Texas stars wheeling overhead, the jagged pieces slotted back, not perfect, but whole. Betrayal's sting faded to scar tissue, strong enough to bend. Vera and Victoria didn't rush, dinners turned to dates, weekends exploring hill country trails, hands held openly now. Elena joined them sometimes, her rosary quieter, her blessings broader. Matteo thrived, his world expanded by two grandmas who traded stories like treasures. One evening, months later, as fireflies danced in the yard, Vera pulled Victoria aside. You came back. Victoria smiled, that crooked one Vera had dreamed of. You called. And this time, I stayed. They kissed then, soft and sure, the world watching with indifferent grace. Love, Vera knew, wasn't a straight line or a fairy tale, it was detours, fractures, and the quiet miracle of return. In America, where dreams were stitched from immigrant threads and rebel hearts, they'd woven theirs into something enduring, not perfect, but profoundly human.